Salut survivors! Welcome back to SolutOdka channel and our ARA History Untold video guide series. In today's video, I'll be sharing my insights from Act 1, diving into some key game mechanics. I know the game can seem overwhelming at first, but don't worry. I'll show you how to simplify and streamline your experience as much as possible. I have made a few mistakes along the way, but as they say, we learn from our mistakes. Even better, you can learn from mine. And here is how we'll break it down. Firstly, we'll go through the city growth, during which we'll explore how to develop your city efficiently. Secondly, we'll go through the amenities and I will discuss the importance of it and how to manage them. Thirdly, I'll share some handy tips and tricks I have picked up. Feel free to use the timestamps to jump to the sections that interest you the most. Without further ado, let's dive right in! The city growth. In ARA History Untold, the city growth works differently than in Civilization, Old World, and other of the 4X genre games. In ARA, you can see that whenever you are going to grow your city, you will increase your number of claims, which are the regions. You will be able to have more experts, amenities, research, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the city growth of your city is extremely important. And at first, it was not really clear to me because in most of the games, well, the more food you produce, the more growth you get. And at first, that seems alright to think this way. But in reality, as you can see here in this example, now Caracas, my capital, at the end of the Antiquities. In one turn, I'll switch to the Act 2. Then you can see here that, for example, I have a growth of 5,500, while my food excess is only 13. So obviously, the food excess is not directly providing you your growth. So I was very puzzled by this and I decided to analyze, and I made a table for that. Good, so here is a table I created with all the data in the game, level by level, from level 1 to level 15, where you can see the population requirements to go to the next city tier. That's what permits you to level up the growth of your city. And then every time you can see here the number of claims you earn, the number of experts you can have, how many amenities you can provide to your city, what is your research base value, your city production base value, your tax multiplier. That's not yet all fully clear to me how this tax multiplier really works. I think that will require more in-depth study, but obviously the bigger the city, the higher the tax multiplier. And we can also see the impact on your quality of life. That the bigger your town, the bigger the debuff you have to your quality of life in your town. And you can see this growth base value. So in the previous example that I showed you in my capital at the moment, that's level 15. I have a very small food excess, but I get very high growth, right? And lastly, you can see the food consumed. So what I find very interesting in here is that by growing your city through having more people, you will then have more regions, more lands, more experts, and so on and so forth. So contrary to Civ or similar other games where you will want to increase your production by building mines, lumber mills, and get more hammers, in this game, in ARA, the base value of your city production will grow together with your city tier. And the same goes for your research and many other things. Hence, one big first learning for me has been to focus on the city growth and really understand it. And that's why I created here this table. I think it requires to go more in depth, and I will likely study this much deeper. You let me know if you find it interesting in the comments, and I will probably make a deep dive on this only and compare options and the pro and cons and so on. But here briefly, you can see that basically the claims, which is the regions, how many regions you can get. You can see that when you reach the tier level 8, which is at 16,000 citizens, you will be able to have 7 claims. Now, the next claim you will get, the claim number 8, will be at having almost a double at 30,000 people. So you have like a first big step where you will grow one region per city tier up to the tier 8. And from there, you will get like a slowdown. And the same will happen when you will reach 50,000 people. The next claim will be at 100,000 people. Another interesting aspect for you to consider when you grow is that your experts, you will have no experts at the beginning, and you will get one expert per city tier when you reach tier 6. And then when you reach tier 10, you will get two experts per city tier, 5, 7, 9, and so on and so forth. Now, when you look at the negative aspects or the debuff from your city growth, you can really see it here in the impact on your quality of life. Is that when you reach that level 10, then you will be at minus 20. And from that point forward, you will get minus 5 quality of life in all of the parameters for your city for each city tier earned. And I'm not even talking about the food consumed. You can really see that the food consumption really increases when you reach that point. So that's one first big learning. That's for me this growth. So from there, the second key point for me in the learning has been on the amenities, because you have just so many. I mean, there are just so many. Look, take a look. Here, for example, you have bandage, baskets, beer, bread, candle, you name it. There are just so many. And it's kind of overwhelming at first, because you know, okay, which one do I do? How do I produce them? Is it worth it? Which one to do first, second? It's really overwhelming at first. So, for me, to simplify, I have looked at what are the relatively easy to produce and that give a good bonus at the beginning. So if I have to name just a few, I think we have the basic ones that we can produce in the Great Hearth, which are the feast. The feast is easy to produce, and then you have the jewelry. The feast and the jewelry are really useful, because the feast will give you some city growth, city happiness. The jewelry will provide you some city happiness and also some city prosperity, even if at the very beginning I think the city prosperity is not really important. City happiness as well as health are probably the most interesting one at the beginning, in my opinion. So these are basic ones, very useful. Another one that I think is very useful early on, it is the herbal medicine. The herbal medicine, you can really produce a lot of them at an apothecary building. So here, for example, I have at this point in time 7 or 8 towns, 7 towns. And I have 3 apothecary in Caracas, La Guaira, Carupano, and the 3 apothecary can provide herbal medicine for every city I have, and that's pretty good. Another really good one early on is what you can produce in a granary. In a granary, you can produce this grain. There's a grain store, it's called, that also provides very good city growth and city food. So all your starting cities will benefit a lot from that. So when you have the feast, the grain store, the herbal medicine, you get already 3 good ones that permit you to get started, right? And if you just focus on that, increase the production of these 3, you will be doing really great. Then later on, you can start to produce bread, you can start to produce salted fish or venison. And from these different ingredients, you have a really good one. Here it is. It's at the inn. In the inn, you can then produce these gourmet meals. And these gourmet meals require bread, salted fish, or venison, or cured meat, depending on what's your economy about. Then this way you can produce this really good amenity, the gourmet meals, providing you happiness, health, city growth, city food, and last for 10 turns. Much better than the bread, the salted fish, and so on. So that's another good one that you can do probably in the second or third era of the Act 1, but that's a really interesting one. Now you have plenty of other good ones, but as I mentioned, let's not go through all of them. So maybe one or two interesting. One is sandals. So the sandals, myself, I made the mistake to skip the research for it, but I'm getting some through trade, and that one gives at the same time city health, which provides growth, and city production bonus. So this sandals, I think I skipped it. That was a mistake, and I believe it's a good one. Now, other easy could be the baskets, because the baskets give you a city production bonus. So now it's not really worth it because my towns are quite developed, but at the beginning I had some towns with some of it. So let's have a look. City basket. So you understand why I'm saying this is an easy one to produce and an easy one to get a bonus of. Okay, the plus 10 city prosperity, it's kind of not so great at the beginning because it will give you more taxes and you don't have many people, so you don't get taxes anyway, so it's not fantastic. But the city production plus 1, look, it accumulates. You have some baskets in your dwellings, you have baskets in an amenity, and you get plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. Well, if you have 7 plus 3, well, you get another plus 40% production in your town. So the baskets, very easy to produce in your workshop building. So it can be like a backup if you have an amenity slot that is not being utilized. But here, look, as a summary, you can see here what I mentioned in that town in Lara. I have 1 grain store, I have 1 gourmet meals, I have 1 herbal medicine, 1 feast, and I more or less have this basis in all of my towns. Now, some towns also have some metal pots, some towns have other things to boost prosperity, more in the bigger cities where I can earn more from taxes. But I think this amenity system was overwhelming me at first, and then I standardized to produce these 4 in large quantities, and then every city has this, and every city is growing well, right? Now, when moving to bigger cities, I think it's not anymore the best amenities, but that's for another topic, another time. Now, some other learnings, okay? I have a bunch, like a dozen, but let's go through it quickly. One is the trading. Trading is totally OP in this game, in my opinion. Here I'm trading with my neighbor since the beginning. I'm receiving jewelry, sandals, metals, fabric, tunics, all of that. And all of that, you simply need merchants. Now, after you have different ways to get more merchants. I have a lot of merchants at that moment here in the game due to several factors. But look at all what I'm receiving for free, basically. I'm not paying for it. My traders go there, get it at the tent of the Polish guy, my neighbor, and bring it back home. So this trading system is actually really, really good. I highly recommend to have one of your neighbors to trade with and build a road. You need to connect with the road. Before I had built the road, then the trading was not that fast. Now, from the moment there was a road, then we are trading back together, and that's really good. Another OP thing is religion. I mean, the religion is very, very easy to start, and look at the quantity of verses I have gotten over time during the entire Act 1. So many bonuses, plus 5 happiness in all my cities, plus 10 production towards culture buildings, plus 5 production towards all improvements in all cities. I mean, just so many more merchants, more happiness, and so many easy to get bonuses. I would really see religion is excellent, easy to get. Another one is on the sciences, as mentioned earlier. On the sciences, let's look at my tree here. So in the ancient history, I did everything, I started to play. I said, okay, let's do all just to be sure I'm not missing something. And then, well, I say, okay, that's one of the things in the game, right? Try to skip technologies, right? So I skipped 3 at the Bronze Age. I skipped 3 at the Iron Age. And this way, I went faster. I'm more developed than my enemies. Let's have a look here. I'm so at the last day of Antiquities, last turn. And I have 2 competitors in Antiquities. All others are still in Iron Age. So this skipping is great, but I made mistakes, okay? Because some of these that I skipped, I will never be able to produce them myself. For example, the war chariots. I will never be able to do war chariots. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, I won't do a war chariot. What's the problem with that? I'm not at war. If ever I'm at war, maybe I don't need war chariots. So let's keep that, because the stables, I can do the stables later in the game. Anyway, it's fine. I have horses and it's okay. However, these war chariots prevented me to build a wonder. There is a really, really cool wonder that require this war chariot. Where is that? Yeah, the amphitheater of Elgem or Elhem. I don't know how you pronounce that. And you can see it's really good. Plus 10 happiness in all cities, plus 10 prosperity in all cities. That's just brilliant. A really, really good wonder. And it's easy, just some material, some timber, and one war chariot. I will never be able to do that wonder. And I just did so many. It's sad. And I skipped that, and that was a mistake. So the big thing is, how can you know what to skip and what not to skip? Well, and for me, a way I found afterwards, right, that I have learned, is that, for example, the wine. I did the wine very early in the game, and I think, in my opinion, that was a mistake, because the wine, I could always do it later. You can go in the Encarta, type look for the wine, and you can see where what will unlock it. So it will be unlocked by fermenting and hospitality. So say if you skip fermenting in the era number 1, then you can unlock it later on in hospitality in era number 2 or 3. I forgot if it's Bronze Age or Iron Age. But here you can check. And so another one I skipped at the beginning was this furniture. I was thinking, okay, it's fine, I'll do furnitures later in the game, it's okay, right? So I skipped weaving back then. Except that when you skip weaving, well, basically, you will never be able to produce your own furniture in the game. So I will only be able to get my furniture to put in my dwellings by trading. So that was a mistake, really. So when you are about to, like, plan to skip sciences, technologies, you need to go check, okay, from what I'll skip, what will I lose, right? And can I get it later, or does it matter to me to lose it or not? I mean, don't have furniture, and I'm doing all right, okay? So it's not necessarily bad, but here, sandals, I mentioned earlier, I don't have sandals, and I will never be able to get sandals. I hope in the second act I will get shoes or boots or something, but I highly recommend to really be careful in what you skip. Okay, enough about sciences, but I felt that was interesting learning that I wanted to share. Another learning is the tribes. You know, there were many tribes around me. I mean, many of them are vanished by now. And some of them, I have been able to absorb them in my empire. So a tribe, let's pick a tribe, there are still some here. Yeah, here. These tribes, for example, here is unfriendly to me, right? When you reach the maximum friendliness to the tribe will join your empire to the closest city. What happened to me, at least it happened 3 times, so I believe. And when this happens, you get 1,500 people, you gain some resources. It's really, really great. I highly recommend these tribes. Befriend them. It's very easy to do, slowly and surely, and you will get quite a good bonus from it. Another learning is combat. XP for your troops. So, you know, early on I produced this small battalion here with 2 melee and 1 range. Yep, here it is. And you know, I went to fight like wolves, bears, lions, you name it, right? Wildlife. And what I noticed is that, in fact, whatever you hunt, you gain plus 10 XP. You know, hunting a bear will give you the same XP as hunting a wolf. So, I mean, like, it might be balanced in the future, but right now, how it works in the game, it doesn't matter what you hunt, you will get plus 10 XP when you have hunted 1 wildlife. Next, the wonders. So, the wonders, I have tried in my second golden age, in the 4th era, to do a lot of wonders, to really be ahead in prestige. And I have been, I think, quite successful. I have many cities with wonders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have 6 wonders, so that's I think pretty good, I believe, by the end of the first act. And I think there are a few things that I got tricked and few things that I have done that I think were great. So these wonders, a lot of wonders will cost you, say, ropes, wheels, tools, and you know, at the moment when you can build the wonder, maybe you don't have enough ropes or you don't have enough wheels. Well, what you can simply do is go inside your cities, inside your improvements, and say, for example, I would need metal tools. Well, I go to many workshops or places and I remove the metal tools. Then I will free my metal tools in order to be able, I'll put it back so I don't forget, so you can build your wonder. It was for me an easy way to, during my golden age, free all the resources I needed to produce a lot of wonders in multiple cities. And yes, I mentioned during the golden age, because during a golden age you will earn plus 25% prestige from all sources. So if during a golden age you build 2, 3, 4 wonders, well, you will maximize the output of prestige from it. That was, I think, really good. And when I did that, I discovered something, is that in fact, contrary to other games, similar games like Civ, Old World and company, then you will be able in this game to set up, I think I can do now, yeah, you will be able to put a wonder, and if you have enough cash, you will be able to rush a wonder. Yes, you heard me right. You can rush a wonder in ARA History Untold. So if you have enough gold in stock when you reach your golden age and you have your tools and all the requirements to build your wonders, then you can really easily produce a lot of wonders. On the wonder topic, one last point is these wonders that in other games you often build at sea, right? The Colossus of Rhodes or the Great Lighthouse. Well, in this game, they are not built on a sea tile. I was planning, right, in Caracas, you know, I bought this, I used a claim for this land to prepare for a wonder, right, the Great Lighthouse or the Colossus of Rhodes, but it's not how it works in this game. It's a wasted land, and I have another wasted one like this in La Guaira, here it is. So you need to build them on a coast tile, such as here in Lara, or such as there in La Guaira. And these tiles, well, I don't know, for now it's useless. I'll see in the future if I can get something out of it. Lastly, when I started, I did not necessarily build well my regions, and it's still not yet really great, but slowly and surely, in fact, you can really target to have some regions that are more for agricultural buildings. So here I have one with a granary, I have one with a well, and so on and so forth. And then for the industry, you also have that, and I believe it will be the same for everything. In fact, for commerce, military, education, etc. Here, for example, in the industrial region that I have here, so in that region, let's have a look. Okay, here I have one apothecary, I have one workshop, one bakery, and all of these are of this industry type here, right? And then you can later on keep one slot to add a mill, because your mill will give a outgoing modifier to the region that will give plus 10 bonus craft production to each industry improvement in that region. So here, for example, that mill is giving plus 10 production to each of these three, right? And I think that's really good. I have many regions that are not designed like this one. When I read about that mill, I was building a blacksmith here or something like that at the time. I canceled the blacksmith to quickly put a mill. Because then these guys, for example, here, you know, you get this plus 10 from the sawmill, plus 10 from the mill, and it accumulates, right? So I get plus 10 for the apothecary, plus 10 for the workshop, plus 10 for the bakery. So these regions design, I think for me, it was a big learning to how to do them better. And I highly recommend to have a good planning and define one region, one category of buildings, more or less. Okay, so I think that covers the different tips and tricks that I have learned, sometimes the hard way, like these wonders, a lot of failures on these wonders. So I think that was a good learning for me to share with you all. I hope you find this useful, these lessons learned, or recs or feedback on this Act 1. I intend to do the same on the Act 2 in a couple of days, but perhaps before that I'd like to study even more the city growth versus amenities, because I feel that now I'm at this point in the game where it's not really worth it anymore, to put these, how do you call, grain store, feast, herbal medicine, gourmet meals, all of that. It's a good beginning amenity, and I believe there is a point in time where it's not the right amenity anymore. I mean, I already have so many people. It's not growth what I need now. Now it's to make cash. It's to boost my production and so on. So maybe I'd like to compare more the benefits you gain from your city growth versus the benefits of the amenities, and see where is the inflection point and which one is better, say up to tier 4 or tier 6 or tier 8, and when is it better to switch to something more productive. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you think it's useful. And on that note, let's toast to the like and subscribe buttons. I appreciate very much the support. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next videos. Cheers!